So this is the Bosal Euro hitch. It's very common in Europe. It's made its way over to the States for a couple of reasons. One, because it's easy to remove. It mounts to factory bolt holes instead of drilling, and also it can carry a lot more weight. However, if you leave it on too long, you could run into a problem. Since this is supposed to be removable, there's a knob with a little key. You turn it and it comes off. But if you leave it on too long, as I did, from towing for many days in a row, it froze up and I broke the handle. So what do? Well, I did a little investigating. I took it apart. There is a torque screw that holds this little cover plate on. It's a T25. When you pull that off, this retainer plate comes off, and inside what you find is a little gear. Now I've already fixed mine, so it's easy to remove, but there should be a stub still remaining on the end of this gear. And this gear is what moves a lever to release the receiver part. So this is what you want to take out. I took a lot of WD-40 and a little bit of time just to work with it to get it out and to get the other part loose. Once you have it out, we'll move over to the workbench and I'll show you how to fix it so that you can. Alright, so once you get the hitch out, you'll see how this the teeth inside on the shaft that runs up and down through here, the locking mechanism, and there's teeth on the gear but only part way around. So you want to make sure the bottom tooth, the last tooth, lines up as far counterclockwise as possible, so that when you go to take it off, you'll have a full turn to pull it down to where it locks into place. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you take it apart. I would not recommend this because there's a tight spring and you have to put it in a vise to put it back together. But this little pin right here is the release pin that allows this shaft to move out. So you press it, it's going to come out with a lot of force. Oh, there it goes. So make sure you cover the end with something, your foot or something more appropriate, so it doesn't come all the way out. You can see I've greased this one up a little bit so it doesn't freeze up again. There's that locking pin that is depressed when you push on this one, which is right on top of it. There's also a spring inside. It's pretty strong. So to put this back together, we have to go back to the vise. So here's how I fixed the release knob. I ground off the top smooth, the top that the knob broke off of. I already did it, so you really can't tell. But then what you do is on the back side, there's already a hole started. So I took a drill bit, drilled it out, and tapped it for a 5/16 coarse thread bolt. 5/16 because you can use either a 1/2 inch or 13mm wrench or socket on it. So once you do that, drill it out, tap it, and then I used a long 1.5" 5/16 bolt and a nut to lock it onto the shaft. One thing I forgot. The inside of this plate that you took off that covers where the knob broke off, the inside of this this hole, you have to grind away just a little bit of metal to make it smooth so that this nut will fit up in here flush and it holds it in place. When you put it back together, you've got to put the bolt through this plate, put the nut on, and then thread it into the release gear. So it's all ready to go back onto the vehicle. Now as far as this goes, remember I to press that pin that you really don't need to, but just to show you what it does. Actually, if it's sticking pretty bad, you might want to take it apart, clean it up, and grease it like I did. But this shaft, first you want to make sure you put the spring in first. Then the shaft goes in, and the flat spot is lined up with the back, and the locking pin right here has to be lined up with this one. So it takes a lot of effort to press it in, so I use a vise. I think I remember now. You get it in as far as you can, keeping it straight. So it wants to rotate. So then I took the locking gear and inserted it. And that allows me to manually pull it down in straight. So you hear it click, and that button pops out. So now all we have to do is reinstall it just like normal. It locks into place. And if you want to remove it, take your 13mm or 1/2 inch wrench, pull it towards the back, and remove it. Now, so you don't have the advantage of locking it anymore, but it still operates just as safe, but you don't have the added theft protection of having a key lock on it. I don't think that's much of a problem here in the States, seeing how rare they are. So that's how you fix it.